So there are currently over 180 species of Corydoras in the hobby. Today I'm going to show you some of my favorite, but I'd like to point out a few things about Corydoras before we get started. One being they're schooling fish, very social, so the larger groups you buy them in, the better. Also, they are great bottom feeders, but make sure you are feeding them specifically. Another interesting thing about Corydoras is that they can breathe air, so if you do see them darting to the surface to take gulps of air, you may want to think about adding an air stone to your aquarium. And I'd like to point out that I'll be going over some care. This isn't specifically a care video, so be sure to do your research before buying any. And I mean, that just goes with any fish. Also, let me know down below while you're watching this video what some of your favorite Corydoras are. But let's get into it. My 5 favorite Corydoras this week. So the first Corydora we're going to look at is the Sterbai Corydoras. In my opinion, one of the hardiest, probably not the hardiest, but it's definitely up there. They come from Brazil, Bolivia. However, any of these you buy now are going to be captive bred, which is great. I see them breeding in Amazon biotopes and Lake Tanganyika biotopes. They really can go in just about anything. And also, if you're looking at breeding Corydoras, this is definitely one of the best species you can start out with. Generally considered to be one of the easiest species to breed. This is a larger species, which is kind of cool, getting upwards of 3 inches in length. I love these because of the spots and the orange and yellowish pectoral fins. They just really stand out in the aquarium and will always be a favorite of mine. Next up, we have the Xingu Cory. Definitely going to be probably the least known on my list. You generally don't see these in chain stores or big box stores, but they're another very easy Cory to keep. And they don't get that big either, which is kind of nice. Now, they're not a dwarf species, but they will get about 1.5 inches, maybe a little bit bigger. I love these guys because they're perfect for 20 talls, 20 longs. They don't get that big size like a Sterbai would and that big body. So definitely a good contender for that 20-gallon range. Another cool thing about this species is that they like cooler temperatures, so low to mid 70s. They can go up to 78, but I wouldn't keep them much warmer than that. Plus, look at the polka dots on these guys. How can you not love these Corys? Next up, we have the Cory I love to hate, the Panda Cory. If you have spent any time with me in my live streams, you would know that these Corydoras are basically the bane of my existence. I have tried to keep these many times over the years and have just never been able to get them to thrive. No one else in the world seems to have issues with this fish except for me, I swear. Every time I bring this up, people tell me about how, oh, theirs are doing so good, they're actually like breeding in their community aquariums. They're not even trying to breed them. But I don't let my failures keep me from loving this fish. I'll probably keep trying it until I crack that code. Hopefully I'll eventually be able to get them to thrive. I just love their patterns, their behavior. They stay under 2 inches. Like the Xingu Corys, pandas can go in lower temperatures as well. As a matter of fact, they prefer it. While all of these are going to be farm bred in the wild, they have been found in waters down into the mid 60s. So definitely don't keep these with your discus or your rams or anything that's over 80 degrees. These are just not going to have a good time. The salt and pepper Corydoras, the Corydoras Habrosus. One of my all-time favorites. If I had to pick my all-time favorite Cory, it would be these or the Sterbai, and I don't think I could choose, but these are definitely one of my favorites. If you're looking for Corydoras for a 10-gallon aquarium, this is it right here. These guys get just over 1 inch and have smaller bodies, making them perfect for nano aquariums. They also love being in large groups, so definitely get these in groups of 8 or more if you can. They're relatively inexpensive, which is cool. One of the reasons I love them, while they are small, they don't act like it. Generally not a shy fish and are very outgoing. Now, the super cool thing about these is that they will actually school mid-water. Usually after a water change, they'll all group up right in the middle of the water column and they'll just surf in one spot, like they're just floating. It's so awesome to see. And this is pretty typical to all the dwarf species, but these guys do it so well. Super cool fish to just sit there and watch. So next up, we have the Corydoras Similis. Basically, you take the back half of a Panda Cory and the front half of the Xingu Cory, mash them together, and this is what you get, the Similis. We get the polka dots, the front half of the body, you get the black panda spot near the caudal fin, and you get, it's the best of both worlds. Similis are going to be on the larger side, probably about 2.5 inches, sometimes a little bit bigger. They do have that bigger body as well, like the Sterbai, so keep that in mind. But another great Cory for beginners if you're just getting into them. They can go to the low 70s all the way up to the low 80s, making them, they're suitable for just about any aquarium setup. They're also very easy to spawn, so again, if you're looking at getting into breeding, get these guys because they will spawn very easy. But these Corys make my list right now because they look great, they're super easy to care for, they're also very forgiving when it comes to water conditions. So, you know, I don't advocate missing your water changes, but if you do, usually not a big deal for these guys. So that's why these guys are number 5 on my list. So there you have it, my current list of 5 of my favorite Corydoras. However, like I mentioned earlier, there's over 180 species and they are all awesome. I can make this video 10 times over, and each time it would probably be 5 different species. So again, let me know down below what your 5 favorite are, and I'll see you on the next video.